What you are going to hear is not a drill. Ladies and gentlemen, in court, Remy Ma did not simply lose her temper. She fell. And it was none other than 50 Cent who, with just 2 words, sent her tumbling to the ground. Yes, you heard correctly, the rapper himself was called as a witness. Not for a show or a quarrel, but for Remy Ma's own son's murder trial. Furthermore, what he let loose wasn't just testimony. Her whole defense strategy was destroyed. 50 was in that courtroom. But why? What had he seen? And how on earth did his remarks send Remy's legal team into complete disarray in a matter of seconds? Do you believe you've witnessed any law and order drama? Please, with a splash of treachery, falsehoods, and a secret no one was supposed to. No, this was reality TV meets criminal court. Remy believed she understood the system. However, the courtroom became a battlefield the moment 50 Cent spoke, and just one narrative made it out alive. Hold on tight, because what he said could spell the end for Remy Ma. Ladies and gentlemen, you were afraid you might appear untidy. No, the term scandal has been formally redefined by what transpired in that New York courtroom. Remy Ma, the rap queen who turned into a courtroom disaster, is at the center of this collapsing circus, with 50 Cent unexpectedly taking on the role of executioner. The streets were already buzzing about a case that set everything in motion. The unsolved, terrible death of Remy's 14-year-old son, a case shrouded in enigma, anger, and quiet strain. However, nobody anticipated this. Nobody anticipated that the trial would turn into something so combustible that it would render the judge, fans, and critics utterly stunned. That morning, Remy entered the courtroom as if she were the owner of a room. Ice-cold gaze, black sunglasses, and we've seen that same Bronx don't play attitude 100 times. She didn't anticipate, however, that 50 Cent would be the prosecution's covert weapon. And the unexpected wildcard witness. Yes, Curtis, 50 Cent Jackson, is a businesswoman, actor, beef enthusiast, and now a key witness in a murder case that might determine whether Remy Ma is sentenced to life in prison. But how about we go back in time? The trial was contentious from the beginning. After the discovery of Remy's son shot behind a warehouse on Staten Island, rumors of a bungled cover-up, rap industry revenge, and gang affiliations began to circulate. The first tale, sporadic street violence. However, the actual insiders told me there was much more going on. Unsettling coded language was discovered in texts that were leaked between Remy and a known gang middleman. He knew too much, as evidenced by the cryptic statements like "handle it before it spreads." Naturally, Rees Group referred to it as being out of context. The prosecution, however, was not at all convinced by that. This is the point at which things become heated. In an action reminiscent of a legal drama on Netflix, the DA's office released a surprise at the trial. Someone with direct knowledge of the circumstances leading up to the murder had been subpoenaed. Weeks before the murder, a witness said Remy confided in him at a private gathering in Topeka. And 50 Cent, the individual who received the subpoena, everyone laughed at first. A rapper who testified. Hurry up. However, when 50 appeared wearing a charcoal gray suit and grinned as though he already knew he was that courtroom changed from skepticism to sheer suspense as it prepared to blow up the internet. You could hear a pin drop when 50 took the stand. The bafe didn't even breathe. Remy's attorneys appeared shaken, sitting just 2 rows behind her. Her husband Papoose appeared to have recently seen a ghost, and Remy didn't even blink once. One straightforward inquiry was posed by the prosecution. Did Remy Ma ever talk to Mr. Jackson? What worries did she have that her son could be aware of her private business matters? After pausing, 50 leaned into the microphone and uttered the 2 words that were alleged to have caused Rees' soul to depart the building. She did. Yes, only those 2 words. Just a straightforward affirmation, without any fluff or It struck like a grenade. 2. Remy's attorney protested right away, yelling about hearsay and relevancy. It shook the courtroom. They fumbled for their phones. Reporters. Twitter took off. One witness claimed that Remy murmured, "He's lying." However, her hands were shuddering. The fact that Remy and 50 have a history of complicated, revenge-fueled pastime that some people believe 50 is merely there to stir things up is what makes this situation even more complicated. Regardless, his presence is certainly nuclear. Let's not overlook the deeper problem here. If what 50 is suggesting is accurate, that Remy confided in him because her son was a liability, then this isn't the case. Others claim he's telling the truth and simply doesn't care about the ramifications. Simply emotional parenting turns into premeditation, intention, and intent. But it gets worse. According to a court document that was leaked and received exclusively by people close to Scoop Bazaar, Remy allegedly said in a private text exchange, "I gave him everything. It's over for us all if he speaks. Every one of us. Remy, who are we?" The entire internet began to ask that question. Theorists of conspiracy went into overdrive. Did Papoose play a part? Was this related to previous conflicts within the industry? Was there a larger person Remy was defending? In the meantime, the courthouse became a set for a reality program. There was a new twist every day. It was an anonymous tip one day. The next was security footage of Remy's SUV parked close to the warehouse at 3 in the morning. The murderous night. Her legal team neglected to reference in her original alibi. And you know who supplied that video? According to reports, an unidentified source was bought off by a rival musician who wanted Remy gone forever. According to the streets, it was a person connected to the 50s camp, a quiet helper who turned whistleblower. However, such specifics are still unclear and hazardous. Not to be overlooked is the public's response. Social media collapsed on the day that 50 testified. Within minutes, she trended worldwide. According to hashtags like #ReMyOwn and number 50. Rap blogs had a great time. Wendy Williams even emerged from hiding to tweet, "Remy, girl, you in trouble." And just when everyone thought things couldn't get any messier, the victim's girlfriend's mother, Jasmine Dior, showed up. This already crazy circus has a scorching wildcard. Rhee's admirers, on the other hand, were split when she appeared outside the courthouse with a sign that read, 50 told the truth. The Bronx knows. A few others pleaded with her to reveal the truth, saying, "We rode for you. Don't let us down." Even celebrities joined in the chanting outside the courtroom. "Free, Remy. This whole thing feels shady," Cardi B said live. "You know it's personal if you're 50 on the stand." Remy's longtime pal Fat Joe, on the other hand, shared a mysterious prayer emoji with no caption. What does this signify for Rhee's case? Then, despite being brief, legal experts suggest that 50's testimony could be terrible. If the DA links his statement to those threatening texts and the video, his reputation as a public figure and his past relationship with Remy give it significant weight with the jury. We haven't even reached the most significant twist yet, because Remy Ma did something unexpected. Just as the court adjourned for the day and everyone assumed the worst was over, she got up, turned to face Papoose, and said something really eerie in a whisper. According to a courtroom reporter, it seemed like the last line from a mob film. What did she say? Though, let us now resume where we left off. Rhee eyed and shaken from the 50 Cent's courtroom ambush. Remy Ma turned slowly to Papoose and whispered something icy and according to reports, even the stenographer stopped typing. What was it, she said? She said, "You said he'd never talk." Boom. According to a courtroom insider, a legal aide sitting 3 feet away. In one sentence, she affirmed what the prosecution had only hinted at, that she and Papoose had a deeper, covert understanding, and that 50's evidence was not only startling but also betraying her. Let's now discuss strategy. Due to Rhee's defense team, they were frantically trying to storm. Her attorneys nearly begged the judge to have 50's statement removed from the record as soon as he left the standby, asking for an emergency sidebar. The judge, however, is uninterested. His Honor actually made it evident. This court will not reject Mr. Jackson's testimony on procedural grounds if it is supported by more evidence. Translation: Remy, you're done. In the meanwhile, outside, the things were getting out of hand at the courthouse. Now, protesters were fighting, some yelling for justice, others standing by Remy. The rear of her Escalade was spray-painted with the words, "Guilty Ma." Even worse, Papoose didn't accompany her home that evening. Yes, left in a different vehicle. Just silence, no hand-holding, no eye contact. Let's get down to business now. As anonymous sources, you know, the ones that usually send direct messages when things go shady, emerged with a revelation that ignited the internet. Days after their kid was killed, Remy and Papoose's residence was the scene of a covert recording purportedly made by a housekeeper. You can hear muted voices arguing in the video. The man, according to the speaker, "You said you'd handle it clean. Now we got 50, running his mouth on a damn stand." The woman, who is purportedly Remy, replies, "I told him to stay out of it. He did this to himself." It's chilling now. Rhee's public relations team evidently hurried to assert that the tape was a phony audio engineering job in an effort to sway public opinion. However, the court did not reject it. Rather, they requested a complete forensic examination. This is where things become dangerously messy. Even more incriminating information was released by the prosecution while the jury was away for the weekend. The financial records of Remy. Between shell companies, hundreds of thousands of dollars were transferred. Businesses and foreign accounts only a few weeks before to the murder of her son. A few are identified as security retainers. Others called them silencing costs. Take a moment to process that. Furthermore, where were these businesses located? Based the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, and even one connected to a management company that was shut down and was controlled by 50 Cent's rival. Talk about the drama of full circle. TV legal commentators went crazy. It was dubbed the most careless paper trail in the history of celebrity crimes. The most insane moment was when Charlemagne, the God, went live and stated that Remy didn't simply fumble the bag. Another person commented, "It's like she wanted to get caught." She set it on fire, danced on the ashes, and then gave the proof in a Tiffany box to TMZ. Not to be overlooked is the wild card. Dior's Jasmine. Yes, she has returned with a vengeance this time. She got to court with what looked like a diary in a blood-red trench coat. Asserted that Rhee's son owned it. Pages of cautions, paranoia, and finally, the words, "If anything happens to me, don't trust her." Let that reverberate for a moment. Naturally, Rhee's team now maintains that it is a fake, a wicked plot to undermine the case. Here's the worst part though. Nevertheless, the prosecution filed it since. Look, the handwriting is identical to earlier notes, written by her son and confirmed by his therapist and school. Let's do the math. Then, 50 Cent's testimony, financial, traces to hidden accounts, audio proof from her residence, and now the victim's own journal confession. It's beginning to appear as though Remy Ma's not guilty plea is a pipe dream wrapped in duct tape, and Papoose abruptly disappears from court. So we're not finished yet. No explanation, no show. Journalists swarm his team. 4 responses. There was complete radio silence, no remarks, no posts on social media. A sealed letter from Papoose is then unexpectedly revealed to the media, and mysterious delivery of handwritten, unsteady ink to a Bronx journalist. The world wants to know if Papoose is flipping since he writes, "I tried to protect my family. I never thought it would come to this. If she goes down, we both do. Will he be the next shocking witness? Will he testify?" The query sent the internet into a frenzy. Fans recreated trial moments in a TikTok that went viral. Trap beats, voiceovers, and phony cries. In the meantime, Remy's older songs saw a 300% increase in Spotify streams. It seems that nothing sells more effectively than a breakdown. However, the reaction accompanied the spotlight, and civil rights organizations started to question why celebrity cases receive so much every day. Victims are forgotten while a lot of media coverage occurs. Others charged that the DA was pursuing influence and exploiting 50 Cent for publicity rather than justice. The evidence continued to mount. However, the hammer fell after that. Remy Ma's connection to an underground network of elite criminals, known as fixers, who assist in cleaning up the mess left by the wealthy and well-known, was one of the prosecution's closing tactics. The man allegedly deleted the warehouse footage and threw away her son's phone. The same man who handled cleaning for a 2019 assault case involving another well-known rapper. Yes, it's no longer just about Remy. Courts are prepared to rip through the entire labyrinth of payoffs, secrets, and silence. At this point, even it was clear that Judge Martinez was rattled. A hot mic recorded what he said during recess. "She's leaving for good, if even half of this is accurate." But you know what? When everyone believed, another witness comes forward after the trial has reached its peak. And it's the same person Remy used to trust with her life. Who is it? What were they saying? And why did mayhem break out in the courtroom as the bail yelled for direction? I take it you recall where we left off. Another mystery witness enters the courtroom just when you thought this trial could get much more bizarre. Not just anybody, anyway. No. This was Tasha De Niro, a longtime family friend, former assistant, and the person Remy once referred to as ride or die. Guess what, Belle? The journey is ended, and it seems that is the devotion. Guards in the courtroom moved aside. Tasha entered with a single sheet of paper in her hand, all black, and no makeup. She didn't sit. She didn't falter. She read, "I was so afraid that I said nothing." However, that boy's fate was not coincidental. It wasn't arbitrary, it was prearranged. Take a breath. The court reporter even let her pen slip. According to Tasha, Papoose allegedly attended a private meeting that Remy arranged 2 weeks prior to the murder. The line that rocked the room came after she talked about her son searching through her drawers, looking through paperwork, and asking questions that could destroy careers. "If he keeps," she said, "I could lose everything if I talk." Papoose didn't stop her. Remy Ma finally broke down in tears in court after hearing just one sentence. No cameras permitted, shoulders trembling, real tears, yet someone within audio leaks, and it now has 2 in that 15-second clip. 3 million views on TikTok using the hashtag #RemyBreaks. Meanwhile, there was complete chaos outside the courtroom. Supporters became demonstrators. Vloggers were protesters. On Instagram stories, conspiracy theorists began using threads to build actual crime boards. The next thing you know, Beyoncé will testify. One guy even went viral with the yell, "First 50 Cent. Now Tasha." To be honest, it's not impossible right now. Let's now discuss the repercussions. According to legal experts, Remy Ma's case is now on the verge of collapse. Following Tasha's testimony, her side attempted to declare a mistrial, citing character assassination and unsubstantiated rumors. Judge Martinez, however, would not have it. If Miss De Niro's testimony is consistent with the timeline and financial records, it's not gossip. It's grounds for conviction, he remarked, scolding her lawyer instead. Translation: bring a toothbrush with you. Then there was another story twist. Can you guess who returns to court at last? Papoose, wearing a brand new suit, without any marital rings or jewelry, sat down in the witness box and stared straight ahead without ever turning to face Remy. The court remained silent. The magistrate gave a nod. "Did you go to the aforementioned private meeting, Mr. Mackey?" A long silence. Papoose blinked. He nodded after saying it again. Quiet. Was Remy worried about her son's actions? One more nod. Did she say that his behavior would jeopardize her career? Papoose muttered. Yes. Remy Ma appeared to have been struck by a truck. Forget tears. This was an outright betrayal and a shock. The woman who used to worry about keeping him restrained is now without blinking. I saw him throw her under the legal bus. And in typical courtroom drama flair, Papoose gave the iciest response in Bronx history when asked why he was testifying at this time. "I'm not going to jail for her, even though I loved her." Since then, the internet has transformed that statement into a diss track sample, a meme, a t-shirt, and an entire atmosphere. And now for the twist of all twists. The prosecution rested their case following Papoose's testimony. No more surprise witnesses, a chilly, self-assured walk-off, and no more evidence drops. The defense? They rushed, attempted to bring character witnesses, brought in a friend from Ree's youth who claimed to adore her kid, and even attempted to portray her as a victim of pressure and celebrity. However, the damage had already been done. Let's face it, the jury was now presented with a 50-cent bombshell. She provided testimony, leaked surveillance, and cryptic communications. A hidden recording that was damning, a warning from a dead boy's diary, and testimonials from her own husband, and a trusted helper. It was more than a case, no longer. The verdict and legacy were crushed. Let's talk about that. First, however, fallout. The public became utterly divided. A few supporters held on to the Free Remy movement, asserting that she was being set up by the industry and framed by those like 50 who didn't enjoy seeing a strong woman triumph. Others, however, felt deceived and betrayed. Some even demanded that her music be removed from streaming services because they were unable to keep it apart. The blood spars. In the meantime, her beauty brand, Remy Luxe, has stopped all shipments, while it awaits legal scrutiny, and record labels are quietly severing relations. After booking her for a tribute show in the past, BT took down all of her promotional materials and issued an ambiguous declaration of reassessing pledges in light of brand values and public safety. Man, if this is true, that ain't the Remy I knew, that's something else. That's evil, said Joe Button, who rarely takes sides. Live. Additionally, the prosecution isn't giving up on her. There are now rumors that Papoose would be given immunity in return for his complete assistance in a larger investigation that purportedly involves witness intimidation, money laundering, and potentially more related fatalities. Yes, exactly. Remy's situation might only be the beginning of something much more sinister. This leads us to the last scene in the courtroom. Following 2 exhausting weeks of testimony, evidence leaks, and outcry from the public, the jury's verdict was returned. Remy Ma stood expressionless, pallid, and mute. The charges were read by the clerk in the courtroom. We locate the defendant on the accusation of conspiracy to commit murder. Since that's the cliffhanger we're leaving you with, cut to black. Right now, we now turn it over to you. The populace, did justice get done? Did 50 Cent make the correct decision? Or was this just another over-the-top Queens vs. Bronx hip-hop chess move? Is Remy's mother looking for seclusion, or is she a genius concealed behind poetry and the glitz of fame? And the hero or traitor of Papoose? To be honest, this story is more complicated than the friendship arc between Drake and Kanye. We also want to know your current position. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. All of them are being read by us. Don't stop there, either. Please subscribe, like, and share. You all already know that this isn't the end. Thus it's a scoop bazaar. We're delving deeply into the future. Leaked emails, private detectives used by Ree's label, and sealed indictments link this case to even more prominent figures in the business. Oh, you believe that Remy was the end? Rethink your thought. Rumor has it that someone even more important was subpoenaed in secret, a well-known name that will make the entire case seem like a warm-up act. Thus, confirm that your alerts are turned on. Well, let's just say, the industry will never be the same after the following video. Once more, keep your ears open until then, have your screenshots ready, and keep in mind that the realm of murder, devotion, and celebrity, it can be concluded with just 2 words. Remain disorganized. Disorganized.